Smooth 98.1. This is Business Express, and it's all about finance, business, and the economy. It's Omatseye and Zibby with you this morning. Got a special guest joining us, but just before we introduce our guest, I'll let you know how you can be a part of the show. The WhatsApp number is 0809 4440981. We're also streaming live on our YouTube channel. It's Smooth981. Don't forget to subscribe. And you can also tweet at Smooth981. The hashtag is BusinessExpress981. And this morning, we're talking about the sustainability of Nigeria's recent Naira appreciation. Our guest this morning is Damilare Asimiyu. Damilare Asimiyu is a macroeconomic strategist, Afrimvest Research and Consulting. Good morning, Damilare, and welcome. I have to say, you're looking very sharp.
Thank you very much, Omatseye and Ziggy, for having me on this show this morning.
All right.
So, well, it takes me back to the era of the former CBN governor and one-time Emir of Kano, the bow tie wearing CBN governor. That's how Damilare, cuts the figure this morning. If you want to see him, just go over to our YouTube page and then you can really see it's okay.
It feels like we're underdressed right now. But this is the right way to start a Monday morning.
That's a business note.
Absolutely.
Straight to dinner and other things. But let's get into Naira Kobo issues and let's see what the vitals, using the medical term now, is looking like for the Naira this morning. We've seen the Naira appreciate from close to 1,900 Naira to a dollar to about 1,400 Naira to the US dollar as that Friday. So what's really behind this sudden, well, it's coming out of coma right now, right? Out of the woods.
Yeah, thank you once again, and thanks for the question. Let me say that what we're seeing with the Naira now is the fruit of coordinated policy action of the CBN since the turn of the year, which were targeted at both the demand and supply side of the market. Now, I'll take it one after the other. So from the supply side, we have seen the CBN, one of the most recent one, revoking the license of over 4,000 BDCs, right? Reducing the number of BDCs in Nigeria from over 5,000 to just about 1,005, which gives them stronger ability to coordinate the markets. And that was not enough. The licensing processes changed. Before, to be a tier 1 BDC, all you need to do is to pay 100,000 for the application form, a million Naira for the license, and with 35 million, you can run a BDC. But now the value of the capitalization was scaled up to as high as 2 billion, and you needed a million and about 5 million to apply, also get license. So that gives them ability to control the BDC segment. Of course, there is a demand side too that has followed that. The CBN also commenced selling to BDC, but that's by the side. Another thing we have seen that is actually supporting this improvement is the fact that we've also seen the CBN resume OMO sales. And the interesting thing about the resumption of OMO sales is that has lured in a significant number of foreign investors, because in Q1, which is the first quarter of this year, OMO maturity is supposed to be in the region of 20 billion. But thus far, the size of OMO that the CBN has conducted is in the region of 1.2 trillion Naira. If you bring that to dollar term, that is quite significant. So meaning that the CBN was able to offset, and part of about 40% of those OMO auctions were in USD. So meaning that the CBN has substantial effects from that, which it was able to also supply to the market. Another thing we have also seen that has also helped this Naira dynamic is the fact that the CBN have paid, based on our own estimates, roughly around $5 billion for stock backlog of FX. So this has also helped to create some sort of liquidity. And on the demand side, we've also seen the CBN, right, dampening appetite for speculation. We all heard of how a particular platform was shut down. That's still a matter ongoing. Then also PTA and BTA, which is personal travel allowance, business travel allowance, can no longer be secured with cash. So that closed room for round tripping. Some people will secure that before, renege on their decision to travel, then go for round tripping. So that is not there again. So the coordinated effort of controlling both the supply and the demand side, in addition to that, was the NOP, net open position policy for banks, which forced most banks to sell their excess FX. So these coordinated actions are what is currently yielding the fruit that we're seeing for the FX.
That sounds like good news at this point, but what would need to be done for this appreciation to just continue?
Yeah, so to sustain this momentum, we need to strengthen our current account side, current account balance. And that cannot be achieved alone by the effort of the CBN. I recall the last time I featured on this program, I mentioned that we need a concerted fiscal and monetary policy effort to deliver on Naira appreciation. Now, for the current account to strengthen, Nigeria's export needs to go up. Unfortunately, now we're still struggling to ramp up our crude oil production. It went up to 1.6 million per barrel in January, but fell in February, which is not good for us because we're even still producing less than our budget benchmark, not to talk of what can help us strengthen our inflow. And this will have been a very good time for us to ramp up production because, like I always reference, Saudi Arabia last year, the Saudi Arabia Marco made $121 billion profits from oil sales because oil price average above $80 per barrel. But that same year, Nigeria's old version of Amarco struggled to make slightly above $1 billion. So by the time they deduct what needs to be deducted and the portion that eventually goes to the budget financing was even below what was targeted for the year. So we need to ramp up our crude oil production. That's what I'm trying to buttress. Then also policies to attract remittance, because we have three major sources of FX flow. We talk of the oil, which we are encouraging that the government needs to do more to ramp up production and secure the ones that are produced from oil theft. We have had a lot of numbers around the size of the crude that's being theft. Some say 50%, some say 60%. But whatever the number is, any 1% below what you are producing will surely have an effect. So we need to tighten our belt. We need to address that. We need to encourage remittance. The CBN has actually taken the bull by its horn in terms of allowing market rates to be attractive. And so that is already addressing the third leg, which is about luring in portfolio investors. So the other two legs needs the fiscal authority to be on its toe to do the right thing so that oil production could be secure and we can optimize or maximize gains from whatever we are producing. And also policies that will incentivize diasporas to bring in FX, because on average, remittance in Nigeria is always within the region. I mean, the last 8 to 10 years is always in the region of 8 billion and above. So if we, 18 billion rather. So if we can incentivize diaspora to remit more, then all this will have effects on a sustainable manner.
Let's do a double barrel now, because as we are looking at the time, we need to get these grounds covered. Let's go to Goldman Sachs in a note. I said the 1,200 now to a US dollar could be achieved by the end of this year. Do you think this is possible? And then link that up to, it has been said that since the devaluation of the currency in June last year, the Naira has been on a journey of price, probably self-discovery. As the Naira found its level, like they say, water find its level. Give us your opinion.
My quick response to the report from Goldman Sachs is the fact that Nigeria even have enough fundamentals, if we do the right thing, to actually have our FX rate close the year lower than that. In our own macroeconomic outlook for this year, which we titled Pulling Back from the Precipice, Amode actually suggests that if both the fiscal and the monetary side of policy actually get things right, the exchange rate can actually appreciate to the region of about 1,056 Naira. So the number that Goldman Sachs estimates is practicable if the right thing are done on both sides. Now, concerning the second leg of your question around whether the Naira is still looking for its fair value, the thing with currency is that currency operates on what we call dynamic equilibrium and not static equilibrium. Now, static equilibrium is when your decision, your interest is what shaped the outcome. Like there's no exogenous factor, there's no external factor. So, but when you talk of dynamic equilibrium, that is like the sort of principle we can use to explain what shapes a currency. So dynamic equilibrium also factor the effect of external variables. And so I will say that the current price that the Naira is commanding today is its fair value based on the principle of dynamic equilibrium. The more you do, the more you get. So if we can improve on our other dynamics, you see that the Naira would be better. It was worse than this from 4 weeks ago because we have not done something. So finding the real value of a currency is a dynamic process. It operates on dynamic equilibrium principle. and we must continue to strive to improve on those that help us export more, especially both oil and non-oil. I mean, you look at our trade numbers, we account for less than 6%. That is abysmal, to say the least. And if you look at that 6%, you take out cocoa and sesame, the other things are nearly non-existent. Manufacturing just about 1.1%. So if we can optimize all these other areas, then we can get it. Our Naira can strengthen as much as our reform output can go. Thank you.
All right, we've got just under 2 minutes, and I want us to shift gears a bit and talk about the Monetary Policy Committee that is taking place today. It's just a month after the last one. Did we really need one this quickly? And let's look at inflation as well. Surge plus 30% headline, food inflation 37.92%. What is the MPC likely to decide at this meeting?
So you recall that the current CBN management was had not held any MPC meetings since coming on board mid-August last year. So typically, CBN is supposed to have 6 meetings in a year. And unfortunately, they also not commenced in January. So that is why we're having 2 within a month in order to be able to still make up, because typically the MPC meeting is supposed to be by monthly. Now, talking about the decision made during the last MPC and why we're having another one now. If you look at the voting pattern of the last MPC, you guess that the CBN deliberately fixed another one for this month to see how their first launch out will impact the market. And this one will just to consolidate on it. And we in Afrimvest, based on our own estimate or analysis rather, we think that we might still have nothing less than 100 basis points hike based on what the voting pattern looks like. Because now the pronouncement from the last MPC was in February last year. The action taken, then raising of CRR to 45%, increasing MPR to 22.7%, did not really impact inflation, because inflation still moved from 29% to 31.7%. But if you look at the other side of the markets, in terms of the market yield, it actually have impact on it. So it will not affect inflation because of the fact that inflation also have the structural side. And again, it takes time for it to affect inflation. And perhaps the inflation number we are seeing is for February, not for March. So the pronouncement was made on February 26. So basically, the MPC pronouncement will begin to have effect on inflation, maybe from this month, at least slow down the rate of increase. But by and large, we think that the goal of the CBN is to close the MPR rate towards the core inflation, which is still in the region of about 26, 27%. So we think that we might see nothing less than 100 basis point hike at the end of tomorrow's MPC meeting.
All right, well, that's all the time that we have for Business Express this morning. Thanks for listening, and special thanks to our guest, Damilare Asimiyu, Macroeconomic Strategist, Afrimvest Research and Consulting. Thank you, Damilare, and have a beautiful week ahead.
Thank you.